All right, welcome everybody. We'll get started here in just about a minute with our SmartView 2 Elevator Communication Platform webinar. Just want to give everybody about another minute to join, but thank you for joining us today, and we'll get started in just about a minute. Okay, we'll get things kicked off. Welcome everybody. My name is Ken Brunbauer. I'm the marketing manager for the Americas here at RATH by AVIRE. Welcome to our SmartView 2 Elevator Communication Platform webinar. We have two of our regional sales managers that will be walking through all of the content with you today. And with that, I'll turn it over to them. But actually, before I do, one piece of housekeeping. We will be using the Q&A feature in Teams rather than having everybody try to raise their hand or anything like that. So everybody's cameras have been disabled and mics have been muted. So if during the presentation you have a question, please drop it into the Q&A, and then we will address those as we get through towards the end of the presentation. So with that, I'll turn it over to Colin and Matt. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining today. My name is Matt McGregor. I am the Midwest Regional Sales Rep, and I am joined by Colin Lempert, who is our West Regional Sales Rep. I want to start off by saying we're kind of going through a transition with our branding. So we're trying to push the AVIRE name, which is the umbrella company over. Majority of you in here probably know us by either RATH or Janus. AVIRE is the name that we're kind of pushing going forward. And Colin, I'll let you flip it to the next one.
Yeah, and like Matt said, my name is Colin Lempert. I'm the Western Regional Sales Manager for RATH by AVIRE. Today we're going to be talking about our SmartView 2 platform. And the big thing that we're excited about with this new platform is its flexibility and the emphasis that we put on security. We released the SmartView 1 in 2019, and we're excited with the SmartView 2, all the changes that we've made to make the experience just better overall. So let's all take a moment to kind of think about, being in an elevator. Hopefully none of you here have been in track before, but let's walk through that scenario. So imagine you're in an elevator, you're riding to a floor, and all of a sudden the elevator stops. You're not able to open the doors with the door open button. You're not able to, go to a different floor. And from there, you hit the call button. Ken, were you going to say something?
Hey, Colin.
Yes.
Your audio is really choppy on our end. I don't know if there's a bad connection you've got, or so I just wanted to pause, have you pause there, because it's just coming through real digitally, and I apologize to everybody. I'm not sure if it's like your internet connection or what.
Matt, do you want to hop in and take over for now? I'll try to figure this out.
Yeah, I'll take over for now. So essentially the foundation of why this code was implemented was for the deaf and the mute. Obviously, if you were entrapped in an elevator and you were either unable to hear or unable to speak, it would be tough for you to tell somebody you were trapped or hurt or whatever it may be. Colin, you want to flip to the next? So the first part about this, and we're not going to dig too deep into the actual code itself, so I want to skip back a little bit. So this is going to be the first part of 3 webinars that we're going to put on. This webinar is going to be just a little bit more high level, but I just want to start by saying our SmartView system is code compliant with the ASME and IPC codes. So one of the biggest changes from our first generational product, which was the SmartView 1 to the SmartView 2, was surrounding security. After a couple years of working with universities and hospitals and government centers, we quickly learned that security was the #1 concern. So the SmartView Hub, the new SmartView Hub, which is a new website from the SmartView 1, has 2-factor authentication, user login. We had 2 penetration tests put on the system. We essentially hired 2 different hackers to try to get into the system, and we passed both of those tests. The security also allows for us to push through automatic updates, firmware updates, feature upgrades that we all do remotely. So if the SmartView 2 system is online, those updates get pushed through remotely from our headquarters. There's also flexible monitoring options with our system. We do not force any contracts, but I'll get a little bit into that as we go.
Matt, I'm going to try hopping in here, and if my audio is still bad, just holler at me and we'll go from there. Okay.
Sounds good now, Colin.
Excellent. So with the SmartView 2 system, one of the ways that we look at is as a platform. So we have different form factors. We have a website that all encompasses SmartView 2. With that website platform, we allow for different types of users, whether it be the monitoring company, the building owner, or the mechanic installing on site. So we have a lot of different options for our platform. And we also have 2 hardware form factors to allow for more flexibility for what the building needs. So we have our all-in-one unit, which is the audio board, the visual, and the camera, or the visual display and camera, are all consolidated into one component, and that is powered and connected through one twisted pair from the machine room to the in-car unit. And then our modular design is the same dimensions as our SmartView 1, can act as a drop-in solution for swapping out SmartView 1 to SmartView 2. But it also allows for flexibility with the camera, because the modular system, the display and the camera are not integrated into one component. You can have a USB camera on the COP, or you can mount it in the corner of the cab, the top corner of the cab, for your ability to look at the floor.
Yeah, and as Colin touched on there, probably the second biggest change beyond security from the SmartView 1 to the SmartView 2 is just the simplicity of the entire system, which comes all the way back to the installation as well. If you are aware or have dealt with the SmartView 1, you understand that there was 5 different components involved. One of the biggest changes, like Colin said, is we no longer have the need for Ethernet extenders. It is just that twisted pair coming out of the elevator car to the machine room unit. The installation for the techs and installers is very simple. They can be done via mobile phone. It's very user-friendly. It can also be done from a laptop as well, if that's what they prefer. And our system is non-proprietary, which I know is to a lot of end users, with contractors sometimes being changed and whatnot. Our system does not lock you into any contract. Oh, and I also want to bring up one more point there. We have, within the SmartView Hub, there's kind of 3 separate types of accounts. There's the building owners or end user. There is the monitoring portion of it. And then the third one is we have a tech and installer account. So a tech and installer, when they activate a SmartView device, when they add it or when they're actually installing it, they have 30 days, no charge at all for the installer or the tech, and that system will stay underneath their user login account on the SmartView Hub for 30 days to make sure that the system's up and running and healthy and whatnot.
Yeah, and to bounce off that, it's great for when the mechanic is setting up the system, making sure the camera is angled properly so it does comply with needing to see the entirety of the floor inside the elevator cap. So that's one of the benefits to this new platform, as well as the mechanic installation experience. So we've talked a lot about the components. Let's actually take a look at them. So in the top left, you have the machine room unit. Now that is going to be in the machine room mounted next to the controller. This is going to be housing all the connections from the in-car unit to that unit, and then it houses the external connections from the building, whether that be an Ethernet cable for building network or a standard POTS line, a VoIP, what have you. And one of the great features that I really appreciate about this is there are LED lights and that indicate if there's any issues with the system. So if a mechanic comes in the machine room, they've got notification that the SmartView 2 system's down, they can go into the machine room, take a look at which light is indicating a fault, and then have a smoking gun to go from there. So they don't have to start from the beginning and figure out, is it internet? No. Is it telephone? No. Is it the car phone? No. They can see it right away and get to work. In the bottom left corner is our all-in-one unit. And like Matt and I have highlighted previously, this component is consolidated. So the three major components, the phone board, the camera, and the display are all integrated into one component. And that is carried through a twisted pair in the traveling cable to the machine room. This is also where the connections for buttons would be as well. So if you use door open or door closed for yes or no, you can wire that in directly to the to that button relay and set that up.
So in the top right, we have our modular system, which is kind of built a little bit more like the SmartView 1. That modular system is actually a plug and play for the SmartView 1 unit as well. So if you have an installation where the SV1 is already installed and they want to upgrade to the SmartView 2, the modular unit would be the way to go, because the integrated audio is not in the modular unit. The elevator would still need to separate elevator phone. And then the camera is also sold separately with the modular unit, and that's just connected via a USB. Another option for our systems are the cellular gateways and the data gateway. The data gateway is not shown here. So the cellular gateway provides the voice side of the system. It comes with a 2-year prepaid contract. And then we also offer a data gateway. We do not sell them with the SIMs currently, but we're being told by about the end of the year, we're going to have an all-in-one gateway that offers both voice and data if the end user or your client needs it, if they wanted to get rid of their pot lines or if they didn't want you to touch their network. We have gateways for both voice and data. So this is a kind of a bird's eye view of the entire system put together. So as we've touched on, if you see in the bottom right, that's the all-in-one unit with a single pair coming back to the machine room unit. Obviously, if this was the modular unit sitting right there, then you would need 2 pairs, obviously one from the elevator phone and one from the all-in-one unit. In the bottom left, which we will touch on a little bit more on the next page, that is our master station. That is a touch screen on the top right, and that equipment is required with any elevator that rises above 60 feet, very similar to just the phone code requirements as well. Machine room phone would be up there in the top left, and the distribution module, which comes with the command center, is right there in the middle, which is where whatever they're using for voice would plug into. So a little closer up look at the command center. So like I said, that on the right side there, that touch screen on the top right, at any given time, you can click into whatever elevator at any time and activate that camera from the command center. When a call is made outside of an elevator car back to that command center, it's going to tell you exactly which elevator that is inside of the building and where it's located. The command center goes all the way up to 116 elevator phones. It's just a single pair from the elevator to the command center. And what I've been seeing a lot, especially in the state of like Illinois, because it's in my territory, is there are sometimes it's spec'd in that each elevator phone needs to hold its own elevator phone line. And we do have these command centers in multi-line options as well, all the way up to 32 external lines. So each elevator is still holding its own line. It's compatible with all of our smartphones, and to be honest, it's compatible with most smartphones, whether they're ours or not, as long as they're not too old. That cabinet does come in a surface and flush mount option as well.
So from the monitoring perspective, let's kind of run through a scenario of what this would look like on the dispatch side. So the call is activated, the dispatch is, or the monitoring company is connected, and a programmed message is sent before they're connected saying the exact location of the elevator, what elevator number it is, and that it is a SmartView unit. From there, the monitoring company would try to establish verbal communication. If they're not able to, or they're not able to clearly understand them, similarly to me at the start of this presentation, if you're getting that, then they can go in and look verbally, or not verbally, but visually into the cab using the SmartView website. So not able to establish verbal communication, goes on the SmartView hub, finds the SmartView ID or the elevator designation that matches that, clicks in and is able to see into the cab. Is this person just not able to communicate verbally or is hard of hearing? If so, then they can start providing text options. You know, do you need medical assistance? Are you hurt? You know, and then stay on the line until help arrives. If someone is unconscious, then they'd be able to dispatch emergency services in addition to a mechanic to release them. That way there isn't any delay in getting the emergency services that they need. So the monitoring agent will remain on the line until they arrive, and only the operator can terminate the call. The passenger inside the car is not able to terminate the call. And that goes the same for the command center. If there's a mechanic on site looking into the elevator from that command center in the building, they are the only ones who are able to terminate that call. So, you know, we've gone over a basic overview of SmartView 2. If you have any questions or want a quote for SmartView 2 or any of our RATH by AVIRE products, you can reach out to our inside sales team. Our tech support number is up there. They're great at getting back and making sure that anything out in the field is supported. Our website houses our data sheets, drawings, manuals, and specs. And then we have our sales managers kind of with a map of where everyone's at. So like I said, I'm in the Western region. Matt handles the central region or Midwest. And then we have Aaron in the Northeast and Evan in the Southeast.
Yeah, and we are going to send out this PowerPoint to all who signed up and joined as well, so you don't got to jot all this information down fast. So you have that information going forward. And like I said, this was just the first part of a 3-series webinar, just a little bit more high level. And we appreciate everybody joining, and we will open it up to questions.
So let's start from the bottom. First question. Is the SIM card proprietary to your system, or can a third party be used?
So we had some issues last year with third-party SIMs. They just weren't always compatible, and we couldn't guarantee compatibility. So with our voice side of the cellular gateways, we currently require that you purchase the 2-year SIM through us. Now, the data gateway for internet, we currently don't sell those SIMs, so those would need to be bought via retail. So like literally going into a Verizon or AT&T store to purchase a SIM plan for the data gateway.
Great. And then Clint asks, if a call is disconnected for some reason, can the monitoring service call back into the elevator and reconnect with the passenger?
Yes, they can.
Yeah, so it would just be like a standard elevator phone. If the call is disconnected, they should be able to call back in. Clint also asks, how does the system handle multiple simultaneous emergency calls? Are they queued? And I'll take this one. So our system, our website allows for multiple users to interface with it at once. So if you are mom and pop dispatch monitoring company and you have 7 dispatchers, they can all get into the website at the same time and look into different elevators as needed. So it's not necessarily queued. It's, if you get 2 emergency calls at the same time and both have SmartViews and you need to get in, both will be able to access that individual car and get into the system.
So I'll take the next question. The next question from Terry Bell. Are there any ongoing service costs paid to AVIRE? And the answer is yes. For the SmartView 2, it is $9.99 a month per unit. Now that's going to be paid by whoever is actually monitoring the camera system itself. As I kind of went into in the presentation, is we're going to have 3 levels of accounts inside of a SmartView hub. There's going to be the building owner. So the building owner isn't necessarily going to be paying the fee, but they'll have access to the cameras, they won't have access to the cameras, but they'll have access to their account to see that their cameras inside of their elevators are up and healthy. Now, the monitoring side of the SmartView hub, they're the ones actually paying the $9.99. They're the ones who have the access to the actual cameras. So you wouldn't be able to access a camera unless you're paying that $9.99 fee, unless you are a tech and installer. Then you have 30 days to make sure that the system's up and running and the camera works. And after 30 days, it would fall off of their user login account.
Yeah, great. And then Jim asks, if a client wants to switch from cell to VoIP, does car equipment need to be changed with the machine room equipment?
Client wants to switch.
So in terms of VoIP, we do have certain phone boards that are compatible with VoIP. If the building has the ability to utilize a VoIP system, we have product solutions for that. And then Jim, I can provide you more information on that after the meeting as well. Yeah,
and just to tack on to that, we have VoIP options with the system. There's a little bit more, it's a little bit more restricted and a little bit more intricate. And to be honest, this would be a follow-up that we can follow up with you, Jim. We have a couple product managers, whether it's Jerry or Felicia, who can probably go toe-to-toe with you on the VoIP communication stuff. That gets honestly a little bit over my head, but it is possible, and it doesn't require a lot of changing, just some wiring adjustments and whatnot, and some additions in components.
Yeah, great. Frank asks, can the system operate via intranet versus internet? Many clients recently are not allowing internet communications. So from my experience, the system's going to best operate if it's over the internet. It is a cloud-based system. The video portions are not recorded, but they are accessed and utilized via the internet. So in rare cases, we might be able to link up with our product management team, but like I said, the system is best used when able to have internet access. And if the building isn't comfortable providing their building network, that's when a data gateway would come in and act as an internet hotspot so that that system can get the internet access.
And Michael asked, what happens after the 30 days? Is the elevator company no longer able to access the cameras and or view the status of the devices? So the tech and installer will only have that system or SmartView ID on their account for 30 days, and then it falls off. Then that ID at some point will be added to the end user login or the monitoring login. And if the end user has an account, they can set up an account for maybe the elevator contractor underneath their login, so the elevator contractor can still access the unit to make sure. If the device is getting paid the $9.99 for, then whoever owns that and is paying for that, they can decide who has access to that camera. So they could add whoever it may be from the elevator company or contractor into their account, so that contractor can go in at any time to make sure that the system is working properly.
And if you ever run into a situation where you think you're going to be able to get it done in 30 days, and then let's say the GC isn't able to get you the building network that you need or the internet connection, you can reach out to our team and we can extend that 30 days if there's, if you justify the reasoning as to what's going on, and, we're more than happy to help with that. I did want to hop in. So Jeff is not able to utilize the chat feature, but he's asking about yes, no buttons versus door open, door close to indicate whether the passenger is saying yes or no. So our system is able to utilize both. So if you're doing a mod or a new installation where you have control over what goes on the car operating panel, you can decide whether you want to have a yes or no button, or if you just want to use the door open, door close to indicate the yes or no. The SmartView 2 system does give cues that say, if yes, hit door open, if no, hit door close. So that is communicated, but we ultimately leave that up to you. Either one can be programmed with our system.
And then I'm going to go back here. I just noticed a question from Gio. Gio asked, can you go over the initial setup procedure with using a laptop or phone? So we don't have the slides. And Gio, we can follow up with you after the call. Within our installation manual and online, we have some more visuals on what that setup looks like for the techs and installers, but we just don't have it here in front of us, but we can get that over to you after the call.
And Terry Bell has another question. Can you help me understand how we explain to our customers that SmartView 2 is non-proprietary when a contract and a relationship with AVIRE has to be maintained to have SmartView 2 deliver code compliant operation, especially when monitoring is self-hosted? Yeah, so I'll take this, and Matt, if you want to hop in, feel free to. So when we say it's non-proprietary, basically any monitoring service is able to utilize that. There's no restrictions between, who's able to access the SmartView 2 hub or not. If a building decides to end a maintenance contract with their existing service provider and they jump to another one, we're able to transfer that account over. Now that monitoring or that $9.99 subscription fee mostly has to do with the cost of all the security implementations we've added, allowing for updates to be pushed through both firmware, software, and security updates. So that's the reasoning behind that subscription fee, not so much to get anybody locked in. We just want to make sure that our system is as safe and secure and well running as possible.
Yeah, and I'll hop on to that and just add, so that $9.99 fee is considered non-proprietary because it could be transferred to anybody at any given time. It's not locked into an end user. It's not locked into a monitoring company. Whoever's monitoring that device at any given time, that's who has control of the camera and access to it. So that can be transferred. For instance, if I was the monitoring company and I was paying the fee, and then the client decided not to use my services anymore, and then I would just deactivate that device on my login, and it would have to be added to the new monitoring companies. Once they get it added, then they're the new ones paying that $9.99 fee. So it's not locked into one single user. It just needs the $9.99 fee needs to be paid for there to be access to that camera.
And Michael asks, how does this tie into emergency communication / line loss requirement in the bezel in the main hall station? So our system does connect to the communication failure bezel. So if there's an issue with either the data or the actual phone line, it'll activate that bezel and provide that 24-hour or that alarm until that's corrected. And I know that there's that reset key function that'll quiet it down for a bit until that's resolved. But yes, to answer your question, our system does integrate with that emergency communication failure loss, and that bezel will activate if either there's issues with the internet or the actual phone line itself.
Yeah, and there's a phone line monitoring port inside of the machine room unit as well. So that can be tied back to whether it's in the hall station, in the lobby, whatever it may be. There is a port on the machine room unit for phone line loss monitoring.
And then Fred, I see your hand is raised. I don't know, Ken, do we want to unmute him, or do we want to ask Fred to write his question either in the chat or the Q&A?
Yeah, thanks, Colin. We saw that Fred had his hand raised. We're going to try to unmute your mic, Fred, and give you an opportunity if you got a question. It's still showing muted.
All right, Fred, if you're able to unmute yourself, you should be able to talk.
All right, Fred, it looks like you it keeps going back to unmute.
There we go.
Okay, give it a try now, Fred. I think we may have your mic unmuted.
All right, yeah, it was a two-part question, which I did put in the chat, but one was I missed the beginning a little bit. I was switching devices. The version 1 versus the version 2.
No, it looks like it's sorry about that. Looks like it's staying muted. You could either drop it in the chat if you can. Otherwise, we'll make a note, and we either Colin, Matt, or one of our other sales reps will follow up with you shortly.
Any other questions out there?
Don't see any other questions, and I do want to thank everybody because the questions that you were asking were fantastic. Great to engage with you on this topic and on what we are able to offer from an elevator communication platform perspective. And just appreciate your time today with us. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Matt. Definitely appreciate your time and efforts to help educate our customers and our partners. We will put out the recording of this webinar session. If you have a Teams account, you should get it shortly as a link once it's done rendering. You'll see that. If you don't have a Teams account, don't worry. We will send up a follow-up thank you for attending email that will have the link in there. And we will also post this out on our YouTube channel. And I'll leave you with a plug for our YouTube channel as we continue to build more webinars like this, do other tech help video segments and things like that. We will be posting them out on our YouTube channel. So I encourage you to go out and check out the YouTube channel from RATH Communications, where you will find all these videos, and like us, follow us, and hopefully that will help provide some additional information for you in the future. So thanks again for joining, and we look forward to seeing you again at another webinar or topic in the future. Thanks, everybody.
I just wanted to add in as well, we are going to be sending out that PowerPoint as well. So the line of communication does not stop here. If you have any further questions, please at any time feel free to reach out to any of us. And if we don't have the answer, we'll go find it for you. So thank you, everybody, for joining.
Yeah, thank you.